right, you guys, we are officially a go. Sincerely Sabrina podcast launching January 2nd. Welcome to episode 1. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everybody had a good Christmas, because I know I did. I got to spend some quality time with my friends and family. It was so wholesome. And yeah, I've just been super excited to start this podcast. It's been a long time coming. I remember when I was working at Shane's Rib Shack, and I would always talk about starting a podcast. And here we are, starting it several years later after leaving Shane's Rib Shack. And I'm super excited to just get into it with you guys. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Sabrina. Nice to meet you. I'm 24. I'm a future pharmacist, multi-business owner. I'm a dog mom, a gecko mom, a snake mom, and a bonus mom. We will learn more about each other throughout this podcast series. Starting off the year fresh with a new endeavor. I'm fresh out the shower and I look like a rat. I have a fresh pot of coffee next to me. And we have fresh sheets on the bed. I have fresh nails, and for those of you who have been following my YouTube series, you guys know my nails have been a journey the past couple of months doing them myself. So yeah. So I decided that episode 1 should be basically my year in review, because I think it's important that we, reflect on our past, present, and future. So here's my 2022 wrapped. I started off the year quite low, actually. If we're being honest, it was kind of rough. We started in January celebrating my dad's 60th, which was really cool. But at the same time, dog ASMR for you. At the time, I was struggling with school, and I felt like I was just filling up everybody else's cup and not my own. And I just wanted to make the trip perfect. I had some family fly in, which was really cool, that they dropped everything that they were doing and flew down just for my dad. So that was really cool to see them express their love, and we all got to spend New Year together. And I just was failing out of pharmacy school, if I'm being honest. Oh, Cardi wants to join our podcast. Come on. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it was just the peak of my low point, I think. And then in February, the tip of the iceberg, this is what made my Titanic sink, basically. And I got my car repoed. If there's one thing that I could give advice to young listeners, old listeners, any listeners out there, pay your car payment, because having your car ripped out of your driveway at 1 a.m. is embarrassing. And I was at that point where I probably was doing bad in school because I wasn't asking for help. I didn't ask for help with my money. And it was humbling, to say the least, because now I can proudly go to anybody for help, whether it's finances, relationship advice, work advice, life advice, business advice. Any type of advice or help that I need where I know I'm struggling. I started, right after that, I started my one of my businesses, and I figured, we're already here, so what can go wrong? How much worse can my life get? I already have negative dollars, so why not invest more dollars that I don't have into myself and see where this takes me? Was it a rash decision? Probably. Hold on, I have to cough. And, that's where we were in February and January. And then navigating to March, we were doing it alone. I realized then that if you really want something, you have to do it yourself. Even when you think that people are going to be there for you, sometimes they're not. And in these situations, you might find somebody beyond that will help you. And you didn't even know you needed this person, but you really did. So that's where I was January, February, March. And I started to this is when my outer body experience started happening. Mason was going to start sports, and I was like, whoa. I remember when I was a kid and I was starting sports. I remember moving to Georgia and being a figure skater. There was literally no rinks around me, so I had to pick up some common sport that all my friends were playing, aka soccer. And going from skating to soccer was way different. I didn't really know how to play a sport, play the sport in the first place, or play with a team and be amongst a team of people, because figure skating is an individual sport. So yeah, I was just having some nostalgia then, and I watched him, grow and improve in his basketball and football teams. But yeah, basically it was weird to feel like he was evolving literally in front of my eyes. And I physically did not have Mason. I don't think pregnancy terrifies me, but that's a whole nother episode. But I don't know how my parents feel or Mike feels. And I don't know what I'm gonna do when I have my own child, when I'm ready. I remember my parents at every game. My dad never missed one. He was always the camera guy, and that's what I did. I made sure to film every single one of his football and basketball games. And I was starting to feel like a different person, honestly. I could feel myself coming out of this funk that I was in. And then, April happened, and that was when I attended my first company event, and I started showing up for myself more, because I almost did what I normally would do, and that is make an excuse to not show up to said event or anywhere. I just don't like leaving my house. As extroverted as I think I am, I think I have a very low social battery, and I just don't like going out anymore, and it's fine, and that's totally fine. But I went to my first event, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. I was introduced to so many people. I met people for the first time, which, sparked a newer friendship that I didn't know I needed. This whole evolution of myself was happening, and I could physically feel it. It was weird. Moving on to May, I went to Rochester, New York for the first time. Also another weird experience. So, as I said before in the beginning of the podcast episode, and for those of you who don't know, I attend an online pharmacy program, and it's the weirdest thing ever. I remember the beginning of school, and we had literally an entire 8-hour training on how to use the internet. And you'd be surprised at the things that I didn't know. I'm very operator error, and I come from a family where my boyfriend, my sister, and my dad are all in computer science, and here I am in the medical field, and I don't know anything that they talk about. So yeah, interesting. And then getting through my first year was when my funk basically started, because I had this sense of like, I don't belong here, and I had tons of like limiting beliefs that were like overpowering everything. So once I just got into this like routine of just beating myself up, I think that's where like that's what led me to the peak of my lowest moment in the beginning of 2022. And in May I met all of my online friends that I have known for 2 years and never seen them in person before. And let me tell you, when you see people from like a little 2x2 window every day, and then you see them in person and they're either like a lot taller than you thought, or, you know, exactly the same height as you thought, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. But everybody was having this feeling, because I even asked my friends and I was like, yo, like, I don't remember her being this small. Like, I thought she was, you know, bigger than that. And of course people assumed I was small, and I am small. But some people said like, oh, your hair's longer than I thought. And I'm like, yeah, I just, you know, tie it up normally. So yeah, it was cool to see how people like styled themselves, which is something else that I, you know, discovered about myself in 2022. I figured out how to style myself properly, according to my body type. And it was just like weird to see people not in hoodies and PJs on a 2x2 screen. Then we get to month 6, June, halfway through the year, and I literally script flipped, basically. Let's just say like Eeyore was no more, and we were just bouncing along like Tigger. And I make that reference because in June I went to Disney and we took Mason for the first time, and it was super magical. For those of you who don't know, I am a Disney adult. As you can see, I'm wearing a Maleficent shirt, but if you know you're listening to this in a car or through your AirPods, you probably cannot see me. So I'm letting you know auditorily what I'm wearing. Yeah, I went to Disney with Mason and Mike and my dad, and it was super magical, and Disney's one of my favorite places to be. And I also got to see my childhood friend, and it's just really good to see like how our lives have changed, but like we haven't, and our friendship is just true and true all the way through. And yeah, summer is really when like my other business picks up. I also have a custom t-shirt business, so shout out to me. It's also called Sincerely Sabrina, so you can find me on Instagram. Yeah. Then come July, I hosted my family field day that we have every year. Also super fun. If you guys, you know, are looking to do something with the family, and you need some ideas, you can hit me up. I will be happy to orchestrate a family field day for your family. It's just something that we like to do. It gets the whole family moving and outside, and we love spending quality time together. Like we like to say, family time. And that's when my business started going into full swing, both of them. And I was prepping myself for school because, you know, at this time we're in the summer and school was out. And then August rolls around, school started. Mike turned 30, and we went back to campus. So yeah, I was doing a lot of traveling in 2022, now that I think about it. We went to Alabama for my dad's 60th, Rochester, New York twice, Florida to Disney World, and that's pretty cool. I'm really grateful for that. Cool. We're just having a self-realization during this podcast. Yeah, and with all of that positivity happening, the good vibes and the magic from Disney, I think it like blossomed this new confidence, because like the second time I went to campus was definitely different from the first time. The first time was very anxiety. I didn't know, I was still feeling like I don't belong here, but the second trip to school was like, I do belong here. I know what I'm doing. I felt like I was almost like challenging some of my classmates, because we were doing some group activities, and it was cool to see like different insights from different brains, if that makes sense. September rolled around, still feeling good. And one of my school friends came and flew to Georgia for me, which was really cool. We got to have her birthday in another city, and I'm glad that I got to experience that with her and meet her. And it also just kind of like showed me like who is going to show up for me. She's also a true friend. And then October, imposter syndrome who is all I can say. I have 2 really good friends, and I would not do them justice if I didn't shout them out. They really helped me discover myself this year. Not just with my business, but my whole self in general. Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, it's been a long time coming, and I started my YouTube definitely Shane's Rip Shack days, and I was still at Gordon State. But basically, I started before I was 21, for sure, because I recorded my 21st birthday. And I'm 24 now. That's a long time. And they helped me get over my ego, basically, and stop comparing myself to people and come out of my shell, because like it's my podcast, it's my YouTube, it's my Instagram, it's my TikTok, and I'm gonna post what I want to post when I want to post, right? Snaps for me. So October, November, December, I was accepting and appreciating who I was, who I am, where I am, what got me here. So that's just my 2022 wrapped. And the first episode of the podcast. It was kind of a mess, but that's okay, because that's what life is about, learning from your messes. And I hope you can learn something from me, whether it's this podcast episode or another one. But thanks for sticking around, and I hope I will see you in the next episode.